Okay, I'm gonna go over my home built recumbent. Just gonna go like a quick run through to show you how I build it and techniques and materials and stuff like that. So I used 2 frames to build the bike. I got them both at the junkyard. I got them real cheap, like $15 I think for both of them. I got all my parts from the junkyard pretty much. I just snagged, this and that from a bunch of different bicycles and stuff like that, and just kind of eyeballed them to see if they'd work, and they ended up working out really good. The back is of course women's frame, 26-inch. I used the original back wheel. The forks are the stock forks from the 26, and I think this is a 16-inch or like a 16-inch BMX wheel on the front. At the junkyard, I actually just cut off with a hacksaw the bottom tube area from another bike, and it's just a cheapo front, front end. It works just fine though. It's got the old ball bearing type, just really cheap. And I cut a piece of tubing, round tubing, and to brace this to make it stronger, and welded it. It worked out really good. I think it's really strong. It doesn't bend at all. And I've been, putting a lot of weight on it, so that's just fine. One thing about welding on these frames is it's really thin tubing, so you gotta watch your heat. You just do a little tack, and then you move on to the other side. You do a tack, and you just keep on tacking it. And then when you got enough metal that's built up, I don't know if you can see this, but enough metal on there, then you can start to really lay. You can really start to lay like a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch maybe if you're good, to just kind of spread it and make it thicker over top of it. Of course, after everything cools down, wait a little bit in between, let it cool, because you don't want it burn through. But you want to get like to where it's kind of like smooths itself in, because it's more area to attach to and it's stronger. And then I did the same thing here to make an extension for that. I just cut that and just eyeballed it to where it'd be straight, and then I tacked it, and then I moved it a little bit so it'd be straight, and then I did the final tack to make sure that everything was strong and lined up good. If I had to do it again, I'd get like a swivel thing, or make this a little bit taller, because it almost hits my knees right here. I'm 5'9", almost hits my knees to here, so it'd be good if it was like an inch taller. Maybe some different handlebars. The bracket here, I just took 2 pieces of flat steel and drilled a hole through them and welded them on each side, and put that through them. Used the bolt. I think this is off a back, or it might be like just a bolt I had laying around, and used that. The seat is the other really important part here. This is made out of like 1/2 inch steel, a square, and I just squared everything. Did the same thing. I put a base, is a piece of plywood on the base of this, and it's like 1/4 inch, and then there's some really thick foam, really dense foam I found at a yard sale, and it works good for that. This is just this on here is foam out of an old car seat. It works really good. It's really soft. It's very comfortable. And I covered it with some material I got on eBay. It was $12 for the material. It's like vinyl. It's like waterproof vinyl. It works really good. But yeah, like the same thing about the frame on this seat. It had a tendency to warp because it was a big area, and then you weld one side and it would twist one side, and that had a little bit of trouble with twists. So you got to make sure that you do this slowly and just tack it all up, then wait. Make sure everything's really straight before you start putting heat on it, and let it cool down in between. Don't rush it too much. The other thing. The only other really important thing is this to keep the chain kind of in line. Like, you can take it off. It might actually even work without this thing. I mean, it comes down and it kind of just barely touches this. You can just put a piece of basic plastic behind that or something like that leave that. But this is just to kind of tense it up a little bit. You don't need a big ass thing like this. This is like a $10 piece, so a lawnmower. I mean, when this thing goes on there, the friction doesn't even turn this, so it's like pointless. I mean, you could put like a old piece of hose, you know, like cut a piece of hose and figure out how to attach it, just so that kind of keeps that on there or whatever. A piece of plastic or just a little, you know, plastic wheel or something like that is going to be decent. You know, I didn't put the derailleur up here, but I think it'll work on that. The way I adjust the seat, because I want to be able to adjust it, this is a piece of square stock. I think that's like 3/4 inch or something like that, and this is angle steel stock with it already has the holes in it, and this is perfect for putting the bolts through it. And these holes I had to drill in this 3/4 inch pipe right here. This is the biggest problem, because these were, you know, having these lined up and having them all equal and shit like that. If I had to do it again, if I had access to it, I'd get a drill press and do those, because that's the hardest piece right there. And it's still strong. I mean, you can I mean, if you really bend on it, you can get it to like bend, you know. But it does work pretty good. Like, I have those snugged up tight, and everything works pretty well. I mean, the angle. I mean, your center of gravity is pretty good. And you still got a little space behind the seat where I cut it off right there, so where you can move this back. You can move it a little bit forward, but I wouldn't do it too much because of the weight distribution. You know, it gets too far forward. But again, this is a small framed bike, I think. So if you had a bigger frame, a longer frame, and everything like that, it'll help you out with getting a good angle for everyone. But that's it. You know, it cost me like $75 altogether. The seat was the most expensive part. You know, I'm putting it all together and everything. Of course, you have to have a welder. The seat was like $50, something like that. You know, so, and it works good. The bike rides good. Haven't rode it in a while, but you know, it's good to have. And you can put electric bike wheel on the back and some batteries. You can put a little you know, space in the back for a battery thing, and you could really get around with something like this. It's very comfortable. I mean, I will never go back to a regular bike as long as I have a Recumbent, because they're very comfortable. Oh, one other thing, I used the real derailleur. I didn't use of course, I didn't use the other one, but these lines right here, make sure when you get the junkyard, get a long cable. Make sure, because that takes a very long cable there. I don't have the back brake hooked up because I don't have a cable long enough when I didn't get going at the junkyard. So you make sure you have a long cable so you can run your other brake. You know, because I don't have a brake for the back, but it still stops all right. But that's it. Oh, one other thing. Yeah, before we get this, angling this, making sure that this is all in line right here with the frame and everything. That took a little bit, but I eyeballed it. Put a little, maybe a little something on the side here, like a piece of level or something like that, to make this, just tack it in place. And I eyeballed it, and I made sure that it was real straight, and did it, tacked it, and kept doing it slowly, and it worked out real good. It's real straight. I don't think it's if it's off by a little bit, it doesn't really do that much. It really doesn't affect it much. So don't worry too much about that, because if you do it safe and you have a good eye, you should be able to do it. You have to like fish mouth it. You have to cut it. You know, eyeball it again. Make sure that you have to, with an angle grinder, cut the opening so it'll fit into the gap, fit into the round shape of this piece here, so that everything snugs up, and then you can, you know, of course, weld it together at the closest point, of course, because that's how you weld. But the cheap components, it didn't really hurt anything. It works. Everything works just fine.